Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to the happiest, jolliest, most child-friendly episode of Critically Casual that we'll ever have. That's sarcasm. Hi! Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Srekcuf5, so I'm your host. As always, joining me is DorkyDev. Say hi, Dev.
I'm very innicado about this.
Ooh, big words. I don't think that's child-approved.
It is. Can you say innicado? I'm probably saying that terribly, but
Yeah,
I've taken zero Spanish in my life.
it's okay.
I can roll my R's, but that's about as good as I get.
It's okay. I can only roll my R's on a good day.
Well, see, I think the thing is, I know how to roll my R's because I played trombone, and pretty much
The
your
trilling
entire
and growling.
existence is playing stuff using your tongue. That's I wonder if Chasing is here yet, because that's going to be taken so out of context if she is.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm just going to ignore that, and we're just going to start talking about what's going on this week. I've called this week Gone Off Target, as in we're not the target demographic. So,
no.
like, this is my only day off, and I kind of wish I had myself a stiff beverage before we started talking about these. So, we're talking about Angry Birds 2, movie about targeting stuff with birds, and then Dora the Explorer, and
Is it?
not this one. So I actually was wrong on the title in this because I was going fast. It's not Dora the Explorer and the City of Lost Gold. It's just Dora and the
Dora
City of
and the
Lost
City
Gold.
of Lost Gold.
But I typed it up because I overslept from my nap after work. So
Don't blame you.
exactly. So yeah, do you have anything you want to say or do before we start hopping and flying and all that fun stuff?
This is gonna suck.
I'm sure this show is going to be great. I wish I actually spent the time to actually make the slide like I wanted to, but I was going to put a slide of just us and the words, "This stream is brought to you by Chasing Deathbeds," for suggesting we watch Dora the Explorer. So Chasing, if you're out there, this is all your fault. This whole week.
I already messaged her.
I know.
I messaged her that day. I'm like, this is your fault.
Yeah.
And we are dying because of this.
Yeah.
We do listen to people's suggestions from time to time.
Yeah, we do. And we might stop doing that soon. I'm kidding. So, with that in mind,
yeah.
let's catapult ourselves into reviewing Angry Birds 2. So,
Who for you?
yeah.
Who was the star of this movie?
You know, that's interesting because I would agree in what you told me earlier that the little hatchlings are probably the more enjoyable parts of this movie. However, their entire story is just filler because they needed more screen time in this movie.
I would have rather watched an entire movie of that though than what we got. And I will say this: I'll give Sony some credit. The film isn't terrible.
No, like
and some of the jokes for adults do land, actually.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I was pleasantly surprised, I'll even say.
Yeah, when it comes to this movie, I would definitely say that this one definitely had more funnier moments in them, even if they're completely absurd and ridiculous on how they got there. Like the cloud scene, that was funny.
That part. That entire scene.
Sequence.
Wow, that was entirely too easy. What do you mean? Well, usually when it was just we got here and we did it so quickly. Usually in these kind of scenarios, something just catastrophic usually happens right about
like that.
Like that.
Yeah. So I'll be honest.
It was so expressive. Like their voices were so expressive of those three characters, especially.
Yeah, like. I'll be honest, I at least, enjoyed everybody in this movie to some degree. Like, I liked Bomb, I liked Chuck, I liked Silver, I liked Bald Eagle, I even liked... Not Bald Eagle, Brave Eagle, whatever.
Mighty Eagle.
That
Peter
one.
Dinklage.
Yes, and
Mighty Eagle.
yeah, and I even liked the villains and stuff, and all of their characters that they had.
I liked Gary. You wanna know why I liked Gary?
Why'd you like
I
Gary?
haven't done this in a bit. Because he's played by Sterling K. Brown. Also, Sterling K. Brown was in Black Panther.
What was he as in Black Panther?
Najabaru? I think he played, remember correctly, he played, T'Chaka's brother, who dies in that first scene.
Okay.
If I'm remembering his character correctly.
Njobu, I think it was.
Yes. Najobu.
Okay.
I believe that's his character. If I'm remembering my movie correctly.
Okay. That I don't know, honestly. So
It's been
a while.
Years since we've watched Black Panther.
So, but like when it came to this movie, getting back on topic of Angry Birds and not Marvel movies, this one was ultimately, I kind of enjoyed some of the moments in there. There was some funny stuff, that's for sure. It's definitely kids oriented, and the bee story, the story of the birds, absolutely has no point in being in this movie except for to extend the runtime and maybe add some adult jokes in there. But
and be genuinely entertainingly funny.
At least to a degree, yeah. But even
I'm sorry, I got a kick out of those three. Like,
yeah, they were cute, that's for sure.
I mean, they were cute, but the jokes for them actually worked, in my opinion. Like, they were good jokes that worked for kids and adults, in my opinion.
I get you. And then everything else was just kind of dumb. I do have to say, I did like ultimately, I do like the moral of what is this story and the next movie as well, which was, don't be afraid to be yourself. Which, that's something that I can appreciate in a good kids movie, is at least a decent moral of the story.
I say this one does it better.
Yes, absolutely. This movie does everything better than the next movie, and that's why the next movie is the one we're spoiling, so we could yell.
Wow. How predictable of us.
Right?
No, I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected I would have.
Like, at least, to be honest, this one was written fairly decently. It's not a complex story. That's just all this is. It's there to be short, simple, and to entertain the kids. And occasionally it has a moment that it's also entertaining to the parents. So, like...
Yeah, it's which is good. You need, if you're going to do that with a kids film, especially that's going to go to theaters, you have to put jokes in there for adults. That aren't there that, like, are adult humor that comes off as kid humor, but, like, actual adult humor.
Yeah.
This one actually has some adult humor moments that only the adults are going to get, which is good.
For some reason, my biggest complaint about this movie is its soundtrack. Like,
I can agree with that.
I hated that every single song was a pop song of some kind. Like,
I need a hero.
I mean, I like that song. Like, that's one of my favorite songs.
Right. It's not used right, especially if there's another animated film from a different studio that's used that song before and done it perfectly and covered it even better than the original. Arguably.
Shrek 2.
Yes.
Which is my favorite Shrek movie.
Same. It's the best Shrek movie.
I would partially agree with that.
And it's arguably a perfect sequel. But it doesn't feel right if there's been a film that's done it before and everybody still remembers that film still. Like, especially given that some of the people going to this film watched that film as kids. And they're taking their kids to this film.
Yes.
Don't use a song that's going to be drawing parallels to something far superior to you. You want to not do that. That's Film 101, right?
I mean, Film 101 is usually don't release two kids' movies in the same week, but...
I think one of these knew which one was going to do better.
And one of them was like, we'll counter-cue them, and maybe, just maybe, we'll steal all their views.
You won't. I'm sorry.
Like, I don't really have much else to say other than this is just your nice little fun, average little sequel story of a movie. Like the CG isn't bad; it's fun. The jokes kind of
No, I think it's well animated.
Yeah, exactly. Like I kind of wish the other movie was an animated movie, but
Agreed.
which we'll get into that. So,
And honestly, like, and I'll say as well, surprisingly well done with the cast. Like the cast, well, it's a very good comedic cast. I'll say that. You've got Bill Hader in it. You got Jason Sudeikis, Leslie Jones, who are arguably some of the best comedic talent out there right now. Peter Dinklage is in it, and he rocks in his role. Even though it's like he's not the biggest role in it, but like
I would
he's
love
still
to.
good.
I would love to see more Danny McBride, in all honesty, but he only does like Seth or Joe Rogan movies, or not Joe Rogan. Fucking words.
Seth Rogen.
Yes.
You had
I
it,
had
you
both,
lost it, you
yeah.
had it, and then said the wrong thing, and then you were gone.
Yeah, I was like, I'm still tired, man.
It was an interesting feat to watch there. He was entertaining. Actually, Rachel Bloom was really good in this too.
I mean,
I haven't seen her in a lot. Well, I mean, for her character,
Yeah.
her character was surprisingly interesting for a kids' film. Like, I'll say this: you can create an atypical feminist character, where they're just, and this isn't me jabbing at feminism. I think feminism is important because it's important.
yes, it just one quick side tangent. Even though feminism and can be like, I like the way they did it in this movie. Like, it's not overbearingly down your throat like a random collection of all of our heroes in the middle of a battle.
It's not the stereotype.
Yeah,
It's not a stereotype / like it's not what the term feminazi would be considered, which is what some films like to make a feminist character do. Like, Silver's actually a good feminist character.
I just like Silver in general. She is a good character who, like, she kind of stands up for everything that a girl at these kind of movies should look forward to. She's smart, she's talented, she knows a lot. Like,
Red's arc, though predictable, is good.
I mean, I'd say so, yeah. Like, it, yeah, ultimately, it's just the right.
And honestly, actually thinking about it, it's actually a lot deeper than like you would expect from a kids' film like this. Like,
I think
his whole arc is about dealing with the fact that he doesn't want to be alone again, like he was in the first film.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the opportunity that may happen, and he thinks that will happen. And that's a real thing people deal with.
Oh yeah.
And he's afraid of that happening, and he goes to this arc because he's not very, very talkative, because he's very much the male archetype of I'm not going to talk about my feelings. Mm-hmm. But by the end of it, he's like, fuck that. I'm just gonna do what's good for me.
It's this movie has a lot of good things for good characters. So, like,
I was pleasantly surprised, and I was more entertained, and I was pleasantly entertained, I'll say, for something that I expected just to be shit because it's based off of a mobile game. It's just so weird to say that, like, I was entertained by a mobile game movie.
Yeah. But it's okay, because at least it was an okay movie. Like,
yeah,
it could have been. I'm just imagining, like, it's kind of like the Bionicle movies. Like, there are movies that were made after the toys were made to sell more toys. It's just that the Bionicle movies were bad.
Yeah, the comics were better.
Mm-hmm. So
the comics were fucking cool. If you ever got those comics growing up,
I did not.
Like, I used to get the Lego magazine with like the big order and stuff like that in there, because we would always get the advent calendar every year from it. So we'd always get that, and for a little while they also threw in a free Bionicle comic up until just before the first gold mask showed up.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to Hastings and I was like, oh my god, the Bionicle comics are still going. Cool! And just started reading through them, man. Bionicle comics were fucking great. My friend actually had the gold one, like, still wrapped up, and, like, each page was wrapped in some foils to keep it safe. It was a rare book to
No,
find.
I get
And
you.
it's probably not very common to find now, given that Bionicles are dead and gone. Oh.
But
Like,
Legos
no,
are
it's-
back, so.
Which is weird that Lego movies are way more popular than Bionicles ever did when Bionicles were more extreme. They're very a product of their time.
Very
Late noughties, early 2000s.
extreme kids. Wow. We're all
Hey, dude, the
skater
Bionicles are
boys.
still fucking awesome.
All right, so we're getting off track real fast. Do you have anything
We
we
are.
want to say else about Angry Birds 2 before we review and go on to the next
I have a
movie?
weird comment.
What's that?
Is this the best video game movie we've
No.
watched?
I'm not even going to entertain that question right now. Maybe on this show, maybe, because we haven't watched many video game related movies yet. So,
Well, we've watched Rampage. We watched Tomb Raider. What else did we watch? We watched a couple others, I thought.
it doesn't matter at the moment.
I was just. Why can't I ask a question like that?
Because
You
I don't
usually
want to talk about it.
Does it make you depressed?
A little bit. This year has made me depressed. This movie's, God fucking damn it. Like, don't get me wrong, this movie's fine. And I'll go in a little bit more deep detail about that in a second, but I want you, Dev, to use these 10 popcorn kernels I'm about to give you and tell me how you'd rate Angry Birds 2 with them.
Alright, fine. I'll give it, because it's a kid's film, I'll give it a solid 7.5, honestly.
Yeah, I could appreciate that. I was kind of thinking about a 7 myself. Like, because on its own, like, if I wasn't going to give it my stereotypical 1-point bump for a kid's movie, it would be a 6. Because it's okay, it's average. But it's a kid's movie, it doesn't have to be super complex and difficult. It could be a 7. So,
I think it does a good job of tackling some complicated plot, like, not plots, but topics for the audience it's targeting.
okay. Yeah, I
If
can
that
see
makes
so.
sense.
Yeah. Like, it's all about being yourself, not being afraid of your emotions, not being afraid to be the smart person in the room. Like, it's...
And also not afraid of not being the smartest person in the room.
Exactly.
And knowing that other people can maybe do a job better than you, and that's okay.
So ultimately, I would probably say that if we're making a direct comparison between video games and movies, this would probably be the best video game movie we've seen on the show right now. I don't... Did we see Jumanji with Dwayne The Rock Johnson on the show?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would count that as a video game movie.
I mean, it's a board game that was turned into a video game.
I'm talking about a previous IP video game.
Yeah, I get
like, it
you.
was a video game first.
So, maybe
I
just
think
maybe.
we've only... I can't... I swear there was another one that we watched. I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to look through it, and I'm not going to look through it right now in the middle of the show. So,
No, that's fair. I'm not going to make you do that, because... Oh! Pikachu, never mind.
oh yeah, Detective Pikachu.
Never mind. Sorry. But that's a very high bar.
Yeah, we forgot
Angry
about
Birds could take a good third place because Pokemon the first movie's technically been reviewed on this channel, and Pokemon the first movie. It's not the best film that we've watched, but it's Pokemon the first movie. Well, we can see it.
we could see you chasing.
Hello.
So, all right, we're moving on through the jungle into Dora and the City of Lost Gold.
No! There's so many plot problems. So many problems.
Yeah, just stop at problems. You don't need plot problems.
Even for a kids' film.
Like, I don't even know where to begin in this movie. It just
This is the worst kids film we've gone to theaters for.
probably this is just one of the worst films we've gone to theaters for because none of this is good. Like it doesn't like sure it has the same moral as the other movie, which is don't be afraid to be yourself.
Which is really weird that these two films have very similar, like, moral lining. But man, is one, like, stars above the other. Like...
like Dora is sure she might be I don't know how to explain this. Sure she might be friendly and like a positive character, but I couldn't find any reason as an audience member to really enjoy her character just because of how over the top she was portrayed, which is how she was supposed to be portrayed. And same goes with all the other characters. Like Diego, sure he's okay, but he's kind of a wet blanket. He doesn't really do much in the world of emotions and things like that. We have super smart chick whose name who I literally don't give a crap about, and like we don't get much time to see.
Her name was Sam. I didn't even have to look it up. I remember now.
Yeah, like her whole story was, her whole thing was dumb as well, and we barely got to see any of the progression and why she changed her mind. We got to see nerdy kid, whose name I'm also forgetting at the
Randy.
moment. Randy. Which, sure, maybe he learns a thing or two in life, but ultimately he doesn't learn anything because nothing changes for him. We have all these random characters that randomly show up for no reason. We've got plot twists that are not even plot twists. We have...
They're literally explained in some scenes that they're coming.
Yeah, exactly.
So, fucking goddamn... Fucking obviously, like... And they're hitting you over the head with it.
And then it all ends with these puzzles and things where they don't even give us the answer to make us, the audience, feel smart. They just kind of came out of nowhere.
Benicio del Toro played Swiper?
Yes. No, come here.
That man deserves far better.
Maybe. No, you're staying with me, kitty. Even if you don't want to.
That man deserves far better. But that does mean I have two Marvel connections.
Of course.
Because he's played the Collector. And there's Michael Pena, and I don't even have to explain what films he's been in for MCU. If you don't know, you're missing out on some of the best scenes in the MCU.
I have to say, Michael Pena was my favorite part of this movie.
Oh, without a doubt, because it's fucking Michael Pena. Like...
But even so, even the like the Michael Pena stuff, like I didn't like any of his jokes until the very end of the movie, like because
they felt very ad-libbed and they let him go on a little too long.
Sometimes, yes, and like the very end of the movie jokes, at least those jokes were funny to me because I was like, finally something that's entertaining in comparison to everything else. Yes,
it's weird. Towards the end of the film, you're like, oh man, Michael Pena was in this, and though it was like really over the top and gone too long with some of his jokes, man, do I miss those.
Yeah, that's literally how it was. I was sitting there and I watched this movie, and even though it's a kid's movie, I just couldn't deal with it. Plus, I felt really awkward being in there as
I, for both these films, picked as far away from the theater screen as I could, in a corner, sat there, had my phone out even for a couple of like, for this one.
I know, I saw your Snapchats.
Hell yeah. I will admit it. I was on my phone during this one. I had my screen completely dimmed and on night mode, so I'm not an asshole. But I also wasn't sitting near anyone.
Yeah,
everyone was in the center, and I'm all the way far in the back. They literally, the way this theater worked is that, like, here's the back wall of the center part. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I was back here. Over here. As far away from everyone, so I didn't bother him because I was on my phone.
Like the Angry Birds movie, I didn't feel awkward about sitting there. It's a kid's movie about birds. Anyone can watch it. Who cares? Me, a 25-year-old man sitting alone in a movie about a teenage girl, I felt awkward.
Yeah, especially given some of the fucking things they do in this film.
Kind of. Yes. Like, ultimately, I have to say that this movie just doesn't do anything good. It's not well written. It doesn't. It may have a good story, which gives it a small bonus in my heart. Like moral of the story, not a good story. Sorry, but even anything else after that part, like it's. I'm gonna call it quicksand, because quicksand in this universe sounds like shit.
Yeah, for a fucking Dora film, there's a lot of goddamn fart and poop jokes.
Mm-hmm. So
why?
Yeah, I ultimately like
Angry Birds that only made, I think, really one poop joke.
Honestly, yeah. Which I hate that modern child's movie is all child's TVs and movies and like jokes have way too much potty humor. I feel like
yeah. I guess I can accept it occasionally, but like this film literally has 2 literal scenes dedicated to it.
Mm-hmm.
Angry Birds had one throwaway joke in one of the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at the end of that scene. And it was alright when it comes to potty humor.
Mm-hmm. Like
this one, Jesus.
Oh, I had frijoles. Oh, let me make the same exact joke, but with a different name.
Enchiladas, chimichangas. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, bruh. 1, this joke isn't good. Stop repeating it with different shit. Literally. 2, that's not how quicksand works.
No.
If I remember quicksand correctly, quicksand isn't even that deep. Usually.
I don't... Honestly, I'm not even going to get into the logistics of quicksand, even though I want to be the one who's always correct here. I'm not going to say yes or no to how deep quicksand is. I do know that quicksand would never stay in a root system like it did in this movie. With,
because all that water would have been absorbed?
Either that, or it would have fallen through where his legs fell through.
Yeah.
So... yeah. Honestly, like, there's not much to not, like, ultimately, this movie is just...
Found it.
Okay.
In reality, quicksand is very rarely more than a few feet deep, making it more of a messy nuisance than a life-threatening hazard.
I mean, it can be a life-threatening hazard if you don't know how to escape it. So at least this movie teaches you how to escape quicksand.
If it's actual deep quicksand, which is really rare. If it's not deep quicksand, you're going to hit the bottom of it in a couple feet and maybe have, like, up above your knees sand, which is just annoying.
Yeah, and then you're just walking through mud, basically. Like,
yeah, you're walking through really thick...
hoping your shoes don't pull out.
Yeah, pretty much.
God, have you had that happen before? Walking through mud and your shoes come off?
Yes. It's awful. That's essentially what that thing would be. So, you know, when I watched that scene, that's what I got pissed off about. Because I'm like, I know I've heard this fact before, that quicksand is rarely, like, human height. Like, sure, Dora's character would be a little bit of a problem because she's, like, 4 foot tall compared to everyone else. But, like, everyone else, at least 5 something from what it looked like.
They're all tall. They would have had no problem. Okay, so, like, ultimately, I don't think there's much else to talk about in this movie, unless we go into spoilers.
Well, we can talk about acting for a second. I feel bad for some of these kids because this probably is like some of their first breaks. And like Isabella, who plays Dora, she was in Transformers last night, which I didn't watch, so that's probably why I don't know her. She plays a lot of characters that have her name. Or a variation of her name. Recently. That's weird. But also probably really convenient.
Yeah.
It's like, they were obviously directed to be these super over-the-top characters of themselves. Like, go all out annoying, Dora.
Yeah, Dora, it's all just how they told It's all how they directed the actors. And um, if I had to say anything, like, just I can't say anything. I just literally, this is bad. I can't even say, like, sure, we could talk about the actors, but like I can't tell entirely if this was bad acting, because some of these scenes with these kids are pretty bad acting scenes, and some of it I can't tell if it's bad direction, because we have bad direction for these bad acting scenes. So
Well, it's also bad writing, because a lot of this is just...
it's just a bad movie. And can we go into spoilers about that?
Okay, I'm sorry. I
No.
wanted to have a bit of a discussion. Usually you yell at me when I rush through these.
It's
And now
because
you're
I
doing
don't
the
want to
opposite.
talk about these movies, in all honesty. Like, and in this instance, I'm not trying to rush you through this. I want to get to a spot where we can go into these conversations in more detail. Like, on my surface level, all I'm going to say is every single thing you bring up sucks until we talk about it on into a deeper spoiler level. That's just at the point that I am with this movie, because this movie is bad. So sure, we could keep talking about how bad this
No,
movie
let's
is.
go into spoilers. Here's your fucking popcorn.
Thank
You
you,
got
Dad.
10 popcorn kernels.
I give it a 3, even with the +1. This is a terrible movie.
Give it a 3 as well.
Okay, because now, like, sure, we could talk about the characters and the acting that they did, like with Dora here, and let's see. Like, we could talk about everything now. Everything deep dive into the deepest, darkest depths of anything, because we're going into spoilers.
Sorry if you wanted this to be non-spoiled for some reason.
No one's gonna watch this movie. So
You never know.
okay, sure. You're right. You're right. Sure. We never know if someone out there actually does want to not have a non-spoiler discussion. Words are hard. Never mind. Where do you want to begin here, Dev?
I don't know. You pushed us here. You need to decide.
Fine. I'm going to start with the thing that pissed me off the most. Well, not even really pissed me off the most, but it was the moment that stuck out to me, at least, was the sudden appearance of our mysterious stranger. Which was, for all intents and purposes, was just this random old white lady living in the middle of the jungle. We don't know, like, she literally comes out of nowhere. Like, there's no build up to her and, like, why she's there or what she's doing there. Like, we see nothing like, hey, there's smoke in the distance. Maybe this is where we need to go. Maybe this person can tell us what we're doing. Yada blah 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 blah. There's none of that. They just roll down a hill. They stumble upon this person who kinda helps them.
They didn't roll down the hill to find them.
Well, either way, they didn't mean to find this person. They were running away from somebody or something else, and then they stumbled into this person.
It was when they walked into the ruins and just got out of the quicksand stuff.
Mm-hmm. So, she just randomly appears out of nowhere. Dora understands the language that she's speaking because she's Dora, and then they split on their separate ways. This woman, just her presence being there, completely irritates the shit out of me, because that, on its own, is fundamentally bad writing. Because she's just a random person that has no reason in being there until maybe the very end when they bring her back into the movie. And even then, she transforms into something different, so why even have her be the old white woman in the first place?
She's not white.
Or whatever
I'm gonna
color.
correct you on that.
The old woman, old elderly lady in the forest that's a completely different skin tone than what she turns out to be.
Well, skin tone doesn't matter.
I know.
Right?
But I'm still
Last
just...
name's literally Vega.
Vega. Cool. I'm just saying in general that she pissed me off. And that doesn't help, because even the ending of this movie, when she transforms into the protector goddess priestess woman who's protecting Parapata. I believe that's what it was called, Aparta. Which I'm
Something like that.
which I'm sure if you translated it into English, it would probably be something really childish and stupid. Like it's not even a real city name. It's just something that they thought sounded fun and interesting for a city, because they've already used the story of El Dorado and the Lost City of Gold many times. So, but then when we're getting to the end and it's like, what is the Incan's most cherished item? It's water. But we, as an audience in the movie-going film, are never told at any point in this film that Incans think water is the source of all life. Because this movie is called In the Lost City of Gold, and when the evil dude, who his double cross, which we'll talk about in a second as well, when his double cross, or when he comes up and places in the gold, like it makes sense because this whole movie's been about gold in this golden city up until this point, but now for some reason it's about water. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about right.
Mm-hmm. And then there is the double cross. Where right after our man, whose name is, I honestly don't know who he was. Who was the double crossing agent dude? It began with an A, but I can't. No, Alejandro. Yeah, played by Eugenio Derbez. Yeah, I can't pronounce names right now. But yeah, Alejandro. Him, when he almost dies, he completely almost dies in that fake quicksand. He blatantly says, "I'm the bad guy. I'm a bad guy." And it's like, oh, cool. That ruins the whole... Well, I kind of had a feeling he was going to be the bad guy from the very beginning.
Well, yeah, it's kind of obvious.
Especially when it was like, oh, there's 4 mercenaries. Oh, one of them saw me. Oh, he's here to help. Hooray. But even then, when he blatantly says, yes, I'm the bad guy, and then we just go on like he doesn't say it, like they are being chased by mercenaries through the forest. Like, I don't know, man.
It's annoying. One of my biggest problems was Swiper.
He also bugged me, but go ahead.
Because in the beginning of this film, we have young Dora, young Diego, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Swiper's there.
Mm-hmm.
In their fantasy thing.
Yes, in their imagination.
Okay. And then suddenly, just seriously out of the fucking blue, Swiper's real. It's like they forgot what they did at the beginning of the fucking film and what they did there.
Mm-hmm.
Because they give you no indication that Swiper is actually real.
Yeah, he just randomly shows up suddenly, and then he's a part of the film for the rest of the movie. And I would agree with you. That is fucking...
No, a fan fiction would be better than this.
Oh yeah, this is not a good story at all for Dora. I don't know why they ended up doing this, and it's obviously money, but god damn. Yeah, the Slifer was terrible, terrible, terrible with everything that he said and did, especially how he's even real in the first place.
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing that they address either. He's just real suddenly.
I mean, it's sort of addressed in the very beginning, in a way.
That he's part of her imagination?
Well, no, before that.
Oh, that
the
everything...
organization thing?
Yeah, that's also Benicio del Toro in the talking over at the beginning, just so you know. But at the same time, which means the Swiper has a double life as, like... He's a spokesperson and a criminal.
Yeah. Which, weird. Feels weird. It is weird.
A little bit.
Um, and just like I don't know, it doesn't feel like that part bothered me when he shows up randomly. Like
Especially because all the other kids can see it too. Like, if it was just another thing of Dora's overactive imagination that's helping her get through this stressful situation, that would have made more sense to me. But it's just every single one of these kids can see a talking, walking fox.
that wears a mask.
Yeah. Why would he need to wear a mask? It's not like anyone can identify an individual fox. One of the lines in the movie, just so you know.
Yep. And as soon as it's right after he's introduced and that line is said, that they're like, we should go to the police. And Alejandro's like, no. Yeah, how are we gonna do that? Hello, 911. Where are we? Between Jungle 1 and Jungle 2.
On the corner of rain and forest. Yeah.
And so you're like, okay, good chance he's bad. Just based off of that alone. And it's just like,
Because
Dora deserves better.
especially the one scene that kind of comes out of nowhere, the giant like flower spore field.
Yeah. And then they get fucking high.
Yeah, they get high off the spores, and then suddenly we're in cartoon Dora again. But not even original cartoon graphics. It's like Nickelodeon commercial graphics of Dora the Explorer.
And they're aged up, obviously.
Yes.
Like they become they literally become their cartoon selves, just aged. Like Diego becomes what you would imagine cartoon Diego would look like at that age. Dora looks exactly how Dora looks, but because she doesn't change, literally,
Yeah.
it's a literal like beating you over the stick. Well, Dora hasn't changed at all since she was 6. She's the same.
She's the exact same.
Is this stick hitting you hard enough?
No, because the Boots never picked up a stick and hit me with it, like Rafiki never picked up a stick. Oh no, he picked up a stick.
Suddenly he talks for a scene in Danny Trejo's voice.
Which, Boots always talks if you heard him. Like, if you listen, you can hear him talking. No, that's when she says that Boots talks in the movie, and then when he actually talks, she freaks out. So, that was fun.
It was a weird setup for it too. Like literally, the scene is Dora talking to Boots about what to do, and Boots just going for like 3-4 lines.
And
Listen,
then,
kid,
yeah,
in Trejo voice, and I'm like,
I'm sorry, I'm getting a call from work real fast. I'm sorry.
bye Trejo.
Yeah, I guess. 1 second, I'm sorry. Entertain the masses, Dev. Hello?
Hey, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. That's nice. I've already riffed as much as I had to riff. Now I have to reverse riff and go back on my riff. So let me rewind. We're here because he decided that we need to get into spoilers. So we can't have an educated discussion about a terrible film. Sorry, I'm just gonna pick all the noise out here. And then I said, "Oh wow, this phone call looks super serious and super important." And then I started talking about like, yeah, I just I'm trying to riff about this really dumb film that literally has. Maybe it was, I don't know. But this film literally has an entire like scene, two scenes about poop jokes. Okay, the first one, they have Dora singing about digging the hole so you can shit in it. It's like digging the hole, digging the hole, digging the hole so you can poop, poop, poop. That's not how it went, but that's my version of it, which is still terrible. It's literally that, because Sammy, the character's like, oh no, I've gotta poop. And they do that whole thing, and it's just like, okay, and they leave, they come back, and so, Hi!
You could have just typed, "You muted me." You didn't have to be a smartass about it.
Hey, I was doing it because it was funny in chat, too. Because he thought it was a bit. And I talked to myself for a good 2 minutes of that phone call before she said that.
Like, I'm sorry that I have work and I pressed the wrong button. Okay.
I'm not...
I'm in charge of a store now.
Okay, one, fucking relax. I've been in charge of, like, shit before, too. Just stop. You're crying up the wrong tree, man. No, I was doing that because it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was talking about the poop song.
Oh, yes, the poop song. With the girl who, for some reason, decides that she like Sarah was her name? Is that what you said it was? Or Sammy? Sammy? Yeah. Sammy, I don't like her. Just a quick side tangent before we get there. Only because...
Well, can I point something out?
Absolutely.
We talked about Silver in the last film, the bird Silver,
Mm-hmm.
who is actually a pretty good, strong female lead that women can look like, little girls can be like, I want to be like her.
Exactly.
Sammy, on the other hand, is that stuck-up know-it-all character who is the stereotyped version of someone who is a activist kind of character who's really smart.
Mm-hmm. Like...
And I hate it.
Yeah. She is a bad portrayal of a person because... Like, she's a bad portrayal of a smart person who cares. She really is. Especially because she's just a naggy bitch. That's just all it is. And throughout the movie, she slowly progresses into calling herself Dora's friend and falling in love with Diego. And sure, it may be because they're in a life-threatening situation, but that's literally a story they tell for every one of these movies when somebody's in a life-threatening situation with somebody else of the opposite sex. It's like just the stereotypical trope. Even Dora says it in the movie, and it happens anyway. And
well, it's obviously going to happen. Was part of the problem. And yeah, no, her character was a yikes. Like, it was one of those things that I was uncomfortable with how, like, because it's literally part of the, like, one of the jokes they make is like, they start talking about, like, the whole reason they end up in the jungle is because they go to a museum for a field trip and they get kidnapped from there, but they have to do a scavenger hunt. And, like, Diego tells Sam, like, why are you always so angry and mean? And she goes off on that whole, like, stereotypical feminazi style rant, like, oh, you want to take that misogyny back? This, that, this? And it's like, whoa. That's not how you, like...
That's not how
that
you
is
react.
not a character you create to, like... Because this film's target demographic is gonna be little girls.
Mm-hmm.
You don't put the stereotype of what something that is supposed to be good and is good, that people have stereotyped into the negative form, into the film as that thing.
But they did it anyways.
And like the nerd tropes in this film with fucking Randy, like that shit's just, it's so old.
Like I would have honestly liked this movie a little bit more if like the tropes with Randy were like worked into Randy and Dora actually getting together too, as well. Because even with Randy makes jokes like, that's classic us knowing the exact same answer about the exact same things. Like
About the star constellations, so because they have a scene of bonding over the stars in astronomy.
Yeah, over his shirt, which she ruins. But
no, she fixes.
Mm-hmm. But either way, like this whole like just
no, like it bugs me. Like, well, no, like that archetype like of Sammy and Randy just bother me because it's just like it's like those are archetypes that we've moved past. We've come past those archetypes. The nerd archetype has been broken, like so long ago. When Iron Man 1 launched, the nerd archetype changed because being a nerd became mainstream.
I mean, I would say even before that, nerd culture was starting to take off. But yeah,
it was. But that was the point. I'm calling it. That was when the MCU launched is when the nerd archetype became a mainstream kind of thing, where it like became not something that was joked about, because I was made fun of before that film, and I can almost like pinpoint after that film as when I wasn't made fun of for being a nerd. I was made fun of for being overly smart and lazy about it. But like my nerd knowledge wasn't. My geek, my being able to like have the Star Wars, Star Trek, Pokemon, Marvel, DC knowledge became like stuff people would ask me about, and not do it in a joking manner, be it more in a, hey, so I heard something about this stuff. Do you know about what do you know about it? Like it became like something that was sought after and helpful. And to go back to such like goddamn trivial fucking archetypes of it bothers me. And the jock archetype, like, yeah, it still kind of exists in school, but it's different now. And it's not just the, ooh, Dorka.
Oh, her name's Dora, so we're going to call her Dorka.
Literally, as someone who has a username that has dork in it, shut the fuck up. Like,
yeah.
God.
Are you
fucking Christ?
Were you mad that they were using your name as an insult?
No, I was more. Well, no, I'm not mad at my name being an insult. It can be an insult in a way, but you've got to be really fucking lame to be using dork as an insult in a meaningfully insultive, not as a jokingly insultive. Like, you fucking dork. Like, playfully calling someone a dork, that's fine. But, like, if you're calling someone a dork as, like, a truthfully insultive way, you're the one who's the fucking dork, dumbass. I'm sorry. Like, Jesus, I guess it's a kid's film, but, like, Dorka? That's what you came from. And then Disco Dorka. What?
Which, also, why the hell, other than to give the kids a little bit more fun at the very end, like, why the hell is there the High School Musical end credit scene?
I bounced. I bounced because you know what I did? I looked up if there was an end credit.
I did too.
Like, there's no end credits, but there's a dance sequence right when the credits are going to start. I'm like, I'm fucking out. I'm not sitting through that. Like, if the film was enjoyable enough, maybe I would have stayed. But as soon as that movie hit black and all of a sudden I saw the screen come back, I was like, sweet, out. I booked it out that fucking door to the other theater for Angry Birds. I was because no, I'm not even gonna give that the justification of annoying the shit out of me. Because like, holy shit, other films would do other things other than the fucking trivial, dumbass piece of shit dance number that's been done 1,000 times before and better in kids' films.
Mm-hmm. Like, you just moved your camera, just so you know, from smacking the desk a few times. But the whole I watched the dance scene. I sat there and I watched it, and I was like, oh, cool. I could have just skipped the entire movie, seen this 3-minute dance moment, and figured out the entire plot of the movie. Because that's what happened. They literally tell us, they go through everything, including some of the jokes that they thought were so important they had to make it into the song. Like,
well, we talked about one of the poop jokes about the hole, and one uncomfortable situation. They run past her as she still has her pants down.
Mm-hmm. That's
She's
just,
it's weird.
That's just something I ignored, in all honesty. Like, sure, it could have been an uncomfortable situation, but that I'm not empathic enough to be like, oh, I feel for her in this awkward situation.
Well, no, not that. It's more awkward for us as an audience.
I didn't even get that, in all honesty.
Well, the other awkward thing is when they get high and all of a sudden Alejandro's fucking naked around 4 teenagers.
Yeah, that was something I thought was weird. And, like, even just them getting high. I was like, why the hell are they showing this kind of imagery in a kid movie?
Two teenagers, maybe sophomores at best. Diego maybe a sophomore. Probably Dora too, because she's just really smart, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Getting high with an adult who is also the villain of the movie, but we don't know he's the villain yet. Even though he's blatantly said it earlier. And like,
I don't even like how when even that drug moment where he just runs off randomly. We don't even know where he runs off, and then suddenly he's back, and he's of course clothesless because he runs off naked. But like, just suddenly he's back with them, even though they have no idea where he went. And that's something that I hated with this movie, is just constantly it was stringing together conveniences of, oh, this group's together again for no reason. Oh, this group's together again for no reason. Oh, this group's together again for no reason.
We haven't gone over the second poop joke scene.
What is... I don't even remember the second.
Quicksand.
Oh, yes.
We've been around the quicksand. We haven't talked about the quicksand.
Yes. Yes.
Literally, the quicksand... Every time you step or move in it, it's... I mean, yes, it releases air when you're moving in it. Makes sense. It's not fucking flarp.
Yeah, it's not a whoopee cushion. It's not flarp. It's not everything that they turned it into.
It's not fucking 7 fucking feet deep. Sorry.
It wasn't 7 feet deep. He was about shin deep out of there.
At that time, and then he sunk.
Yeah.
Still pisses me off. I knew that fact for a reason, and I'm glad I looked it up and I was right. Because like that whole scene pisses me off on a plethora of levels. It's like there's the whole shit jokes part of it. There's the it's deeper than it should be part of it, and then there's the hole at the bottom part of it. Like
every layer of this joke. The top layer, the middle layer with how big it is, and at the bottom, every layer of it is wrong.
Every layer of this thing pissed me off. And then the aftermath of it, of the crying through the layered cake. I'm the bad guy! And like, you would think that this film would have given his character the redemption moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way they set that up. No, he's just a piece of shit after his reveal.
Mm-hmm. And they have to make him the villain now, because he was a fun, relatable guy up until seconds ago.
Why? It makes no sense. Absolutely 0 sense.
It doesn't make sense. I just don't like this movie.
And they leave him to die at the end.
Yeah, but we don't... No, he's not going to die. Well, I mean, technically, yes, he's going to die there. But...
He's gonna get tortured and maimed.
Yeah, like they mentioned that he's going to be there until he dies. So they're not going to actively kill him. They're just going to lock him in jail.
They're not going to actively save him.
Yes.
They're actively just going to walk the other way. And let the ancient group that he made up that turned out to be real, pisses me the fuck off, take him. Just why? And like, the Incas were very fascinated by gold.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole water thing just still pisses me off too, because it's not set up ever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never set up, other than maybe, at best, it's the going down the river.
Oh,
but we don't even get that.
And the aqueduct. Like, the Incans are known for their high advanced aqueduct technology. Like, oh, so they're good with water.
Sluice gate.
Yeah. Which, I don't know why that was even a joke.
I don't know how it's a joke.
Is it because it sounded funny and he kept repeating it? Yeah.
Just because you repeat it doesn't make it funny.
I think it's just because they thought it was a funny word and they kept saying it.
It's not even that funny of a word. It's just a sluice gate. It doesn't sound that funny.
What's a sluice? Sluice gate. That was the writers.
Can I dock points?
Sure, if you want to.
2.
2.
I'm giving it 2.
All right.
Changing my vote. It's a 2.
It's a 2.
So now it's a 2.5. Still not the worst film we've done.
Still not Death Note.
But I think it's close to either second or third.
Like, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest Dora the Explorer fan.
I grew up watching it, actually.
Yeah, I grew up
on Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Like, it was definitely something that I watched, especially being, like, I was born in California, and before I moved to Arizona and was raised in Arizona, I was around people and kids who loved Dora the Explorer. It's just, I watched that show when I was younger, and they didn't do justice to it, that's for sure. And it's just bad movie, bad characters, bad writing. And they wrote it for kids, so I think they were thinking, oh, it's a lazy cash grab for kids. We can get away with it. Like,
there's another film that came out. Watch that instead.
Yeah, at my
Take your kids to Angry Birds, not this.
Mm-hmm. Every single movie theater in my area here had this movie running once every 2.5 hours. This movie is 1 hour and 45 minutes long at most, and with all the credits and everything. So that's
if I heard correctly, mine's the same.
Yeah.
The theater that Angry Birds was in. Never mind. Dora was running it had a showing at 2:05, and then another at 4:05. It was every 2 hours. Or it was 4:55.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough time to watch a different film in there.
Yeah, and then Angry Birds 2 was once every 30 minutes.
Mine was different because I think they also were showing Hobbs and Shaw there because they moved it over to the other theater already. Understandable, I guess. Hobbs and Shaw deserves to stay at the main theater, in my opinion, for the time being. But whatever. It was a far more enjoyable thing. And it's so weird being far more entertained by Angry Birds than this. Sony has not done great with, in my opinion, with their animated features other than Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, but that's arguably the best film of last year for us. And for a lot of people, and if it was put in the best picture category, a lot of people would have probably said that. It's just a great film, but it's a completely different crew. And of the fact that I was truly I went and watched Dora first and then Angry Birds, and it was just night and fucking day of making a kids film. Angry Birds was simple. It was a very simple kids film. But even though it was simple, it still talked about some complex things for kids to talk about in a way that makes sense, in a way that's not alienating people, in a way that's not necessarily stereotyping, but almost breaking stereotypes. That's cool. Mm-hmm. This film literally makes a character that is two characters that are nothing but stereotypes. And a third one who's that distant family relative bullshit stereotype, who's you're just this singing annoying thing that you used to be. I'm Diego.
They call me Depresso. I don't know. I'm just coming up with bullshit now. But yeah.
It was very depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Without saying anything that was truly depressing, he was just, and until like halfway into the film where he's like, you know what? I'm glad to be with you, Dora. Yeah.
Like,
it's a flip. It's a dime, dude. It flips.
It's literally a flip of the switch when he's like, "This isn't the jungle, but I missed you in the jungle this whole time." Like,
and I'm your cousin, so I'm not letting you just go off.
yeah, like that's the one thing I hate. He goes from being the "I'm ashamed of you" to being "I have to protect you," and clearly
In a scene.
and clearly Dora's the one who really doesn't need to be protected. Like, she's the one who's most prepared. In fact, I would love to if Diego did even more. Like, the only thing
It would have made it more interesting.
Yes, if Diego at one point started helping Dora in tracking the family, the only thing that he kind of helps with is tracking the fox swiper, because they see fox tracks and he's like, "Hey, look, these are fox tracks." That's the only time when we're like, "Hey, he was a kid who lived in the forest and understands how to track things." That's the only time that happens. But if we had more of those scenes as he progressively starts to become more and more friendly and
Randy
approachable
was more
with Dora,
useful for one scene.
yes.
Which is a scene they literally set up with him being... It's a socially awkward fact about me. I can hold my breath for 7 minutes. Which is doable because Tom Cruise does it.
The reasoning behind it was dumb. Yeah, I like to pretend I'm
It
drowning.
was a really weird, dark... Yeah. Apparently, attempting, faking drowning is a really way to get attention. A really good way to get attention.
When your parents ignore you for a living. Yeah.
What a weird, out of left field dark turn.
Yeah, that's hopefully kids who feel lonely and alone from their parents don't watch this movie with their parents, because they're going to learn that they should just pretend to kill themselves to get attention. And then eventually it'll progress even further.
Which is awful. Like, at least when Angry Birds did their dark moment, it was actually funny because they just...
And it was off screen.
And it was the way they come back on the screen. Like, one of them has this look of shock. The other one's like...
That got dark.
And literally the girl one's like, that got dark.
Yeah, and she's...
they're all wearing snakeskin from just beating the shit out of a sleeping python to get the eggs back. And you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
That did get dark. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that was one of the better moments in that film.
Yeah, that was the scene that I literally texted you. These 3 little birds are awesome. I literally pulled up my phone because I was in the very back row of it, and like everyone else was in the very front, so I wasn't gonna bother them either. I was like, these little birds are fucking great.
So, quick spoiler for Dora or Angry Birds too. Like, I really enjoyed the ground control to Major Tom moment where they inflated the little chick to float into space.
Which was also surprisingly dark.
Yeah, that just got hilarious. That, like, I was the only one who laughed at that in my theater, which made me feel bad. But I was like, "That's a funny joke there."
It just started playing. I'm like, for me, it's so weird.
Major Oh God.
Fair enough, chasing, but like, the kid literally says I drowned myself a lot as a kid. And it's just like, what the fuck? And like, okay, 7 minutes, like, there are other ways to do that. Like, hey, saying one of my favorite movie actors does this would have made more sense, because I would have been like, oh, Tom Cruise, because he literally did that for fucking Rogue Nation. Mm-hmm. He literally held his breath for 6 goddamn minutes to do that scene where in the water switching the cape.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and then he gets saved.
He did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and the best part was like they taught the stunt coordinator like talked about it that like I have to pay attention to see if Tom is actually drowning, but the problem is he's acting as if he's actually drowning because that's what his character has to do. Because that's what happens to Ethan. I just watched the video about it. But you could have literally just said for Randy's character, "Hey, yeah, no, I can hold my breath for 7 minutes. One of my favorite actors does it, and I just like him, and he's really cool." And it would have been like, oh, he's got an icon because he's the nerdy guy, and there's a cool character.
That would have gave him more depth as a character.
It would be stereotypical as hell for the nerd character archetype. Mm-hmm. But it would have been more entertaining then, or it would have been better then. Yeah, I used to fake drowning myself to get attention. What the fuck, movie? You're a kids' film.
Yeah.
Even the other kids' film has dark. Like other kids' films have dark moments, And hell, older kids films talk about suicide way more than or have suicide jokes in it. If you look back at old Looney Tunes and Disney films,
one of the most popular cartoons right now on air is Steven Universe, which talks about all these dark matters of depression and anxiety and heterosexuality
in a different light, in a more mature light. But I'm more talking about older, this is old Looney Tunes Disney when cartoons when literally Donald Duck would blow his goddamn head off as the screen goes to black and you hear the bang, or Tom and Jerry when they sit on the tracks as the train's coming on that depressed episode.
But even still, what I'm getting at is kids are smarter than we're making them out to be. So, that's why Steven Universe is so popular for kids. It's because it's a deep, complex, very well thought out story. Exactly. I was just about to get there too.
Regular show.
Regular show. I'm a little iffy on that one, but yes.
It covers darker stuff in a very comedic adult way.
Yeah, it's kind of like our version of Rocko's Modern Life.
Yes, it was that generation's Rocko.
Mm-hmm.
Way of putting it. But this was literally that joke. And I've talked about it on different podcasts. I deal with bipolar disorder, and suicide's a very real thing. I've been there at points in my life. It's scary. And to just turn it into a fucking joke?
He's not necessarily...
And it's not necessarily suicide, I know. But that is a warning sign for that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
And that set off so many fucking mental red flags for me as someone who deals with this shit. I'm like, what the fuck are you teaching these kids? That's not okay. That's not okay.
It's not okay.
Because if younger me potentially saw that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that this would have happened, but it just, in my adolescence, I went through one of my dark moments and saw that and was like, oh, that's how I can get attention and stuff like that. That could have gone seriously wrong. People are yelling at 13 Reasons Why. Look at this. This is somehow on that level, and it's Dora. How? How do you fuck up that bad?
Because they thought it would be a funny moment for parents.
It would be, if I was a parent seeing that joke, I would have walked out with my kid.
Yeah, I thought about it. At least with, the way he is written right now, he is a one-dimensional character, which is he gets ignored by his parents. That's it. That's all.
I'll give him a half dimension for nerdy.
Sure.
Nerd archetype.
But if they gave him more, like what you said, having him idolize Tom Cruise and having that be the reason why he breathes, that would have added so much depth to him, given us so much more. Even if it's just this one little thing, it adds a whole other story.
It would have been stupid, but it would have been a better stupid.
Yes, exactly. And Chasing, you're taking this way the wrong way in this situation. I understand you're trying to make it perverted, but it's really not going to work here.
I can appreciate you trying to add levity to the moment, Chasing. I actually appreciate that. Because we're not able to get levity out of it, having seen it. Because it was just one of those things, it's just it's a throwaway line in such a dark manner about something that's really not something you should joke about in that way. And just, especially for someone, it just came off as wrong.
No, I get you.
It's a goddamn kids film. What the fuck is going on? I don't know, dude. It feels so off.
It's just, we could chalk it down to this being one of the worst kids movies ever made. Made for cash grab purposes, where they thought, hey, Dora's a popular IP with kids and adults, because some adults grew up with this, so let's just make our own version of it and see what happens.
And then hire a bunch of big names and not tell them how this film's actually gonna be.
Even so, their big names are not big names.
Well, okay, Benicio del Toro is a big name.
He used to be a big name.
He's still a big name. Sicario's a popular franchise right now.
I know there's 1 and 2, but I've never seen it.
I know, but we had planned on seeing it.
The only reason we planned on seeing it is because you wanted to see it. I had never heard of it still, and then you're like, let's watch Sicario. I was like, what the hell is that movie?
And then we accidentally had to cancel that week because of scheduling. So,
Like
There went that.
most of what I've seen Benicio del Toro.
Well, I mean, it's got Ava Longoria, Michael Pena. Michael Pena is hot right now.
Yeah, Michael Pena, I'd give maybe a hot, a hot on because he's popular for his roles in the Avengers movies, but and maybe
The voice of Danny Trejo, like Danny Trejo is a very like one of those people you see and you're like fucking machete.
Yeah, Danny Trejo, however, I would say is currently washed up. This is something you would do as somebody who needs money in Hollywood.
Yeah, all of these people shouldn't be in this film. Like, they've been in better films. Arguably, the girl who plays Dora, Isabella, was in a goddamn Transformers film and a Sicario film. Both better than this. She can do better. All of you can do better.
Yeah.
Just, I feel so just... It doesn't feel... This film does not feel good in any way. It is a kid's film. Kids' films are supposed to feel good in some way.
Oh, here's a fun fact.
Oh boy.
Well, kind of. Isabel Moner, the girl who plays Dora, has been working with Nickelodeon for years now. She used to be in the Dora the Explorer TV show. Dora and friends go into the city, but she didn't play Dora. She played as the friend Kate.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah. So she's been working with Nickelodeon for years now, and they finally just decided to give her the lead role of Dora.
She probably took it. You know, this sounds strangely like what happened to Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool the first time. Like, he was gunning for a Deadpool thing with Fox for so long, and they're like, yeah, we can have you as Deadpool. Here's the script for X-Men Origins, Wolverine. And he's like, this is such hot trash for Deadpool. Well, we could just give the role to someone else. And he's like, no, I'll fucking take it and I will make this work. And arguably, his scenes when he's actually Deadpool-y work really well because he's Deadpool. And then they kill it. And then he kills it later, thank God. It seems like a very similar situation. It's like, all right, Isabel, here's your Dora script. You're fucking kidding, right? Like,
I mean, she definitely. I would say she tried. At the very least.
No, I'm not like she tried. I'm more saying that like, and I'm not like Ryan Reynolds tried in X-Men Origins. I'm saying she tried, but like the script that was given to her was probably not what she wanted it to be for. Like, a kids' film that's supposed to be about teaching like kids.
Oh yeah,
film teaches nothing besides like familia. They could have watched Fast and Furious,
which is a sad thing that Fast and Furious has a better story of family than this movie does. This has an okay story of being yourself, but it's not a family story. It's not a friend story. It's just.
But like it tries to be a family story at points too. It's so annoying. It's like I can watch any film that does family better, and it does it better. Like, I can't think of films that do family worse than this right now. Off the top of my head.
I wouldn't even try. Because it's pretty hard.
It is! Which sucks! All in all, Steve and I have talked about it, and this may be a rule, potentially something that we do, going forward. We may not do kids' films in theaters that we know are going to be bad.
I think at this point, the rule is we're going to give any kids movie at least a week before we see it, because that way we can at least look at reviews.
Fair. I would say there are some that we can watch opening weekend.
Yeah.
That
like maybe Frozen 2. That one maybe.
Or I personally, Abominable looks like it could be good. It's got that same, it's DreamWorks. They did great with Kung Fu Panda. They've done great with How to Train Your Dragon. They've, honestly, since the Shrek franchise, they've stepped up their game.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Like, and Shrek started out really strong. It just does not end very strong.
Yeah, Shrek 1 and 2, great. Shrek 3 and 4, awful.
Well, 3's awful. 4's,
I'd still say.
And then there's Puss in Boots.
I wouldn't even.
No one
consider...
talks about Puss in Boots.
Yeah.
And then they started doing, Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon, which are two arguably really good franchises.
Oh yeah.
And then Abominable looks like another lighthearted, really fun kind of story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? I can dig it. Giant blueberries? Fuck yeah. I love blueberries. So, fuck yeah. So we may see that one because it's by a studio we've gotten some trust in recently. And that's the thing. It's got to be a studio we can trust in. If I see anything that's Nickelodeon related right now, I'm not going to see it. There's a fucking SpongeBob film slated for next year.
Is there really? SpongeBob 3.
I think so. Fuck you. We're not doing that. And at least not opening weekend.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, and just kids films that don't look like they're going to go anywhere, like
the Addams Family movie. Probably not going to see that opening weekend. I don't.
Probably not. We may.
We may, but probably not.
It's
just chasing. Know that thanks to you, we're changing how we take official requests.
There's part of that too. There's got to be more thought behind being like, oh yeah, that sounds like an awful idea. Let's do it. Because this was an awful idea. This was arguably the second worst thing we've watched.
And we spent I spent $11 on this movie to watch it. Like
I spent $9.
Yeah, how much was Death Note? Free with Netflix, as long as you spend $9 a month, or $12 now, or $15
Which makes it
now.
arguably a worse experience for us. We paid for this.
Yes. So
we totally mooch off of our parents for our Netflix right now.
Yeah.
I won't even fucking deny that.
Yeah. So, I mean, hey, okay. Are we done talking about Dora?
I think we're done talking about Dora.
I'm taking Dora's dumb face off of the screen so we can keep talking. We're in the news and wrap-up section. We're wrapping up the stream. We're just going to talk about random stuff. That being said... Oh, God. I don't know what I want to say. Just, we're changing how we'll look at possible kids' movies in the future. Because this was hard to do.
Like, especially given the other film wasn't the best film we've watched kids film-wise. It's very, like, upper middle road.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, Dora was so below a standard bar that we just, like, it makes us have to rethink things. Which is really weird.
It's pretty bad. Like, that's a whole new level of bad.
Like, it's us with horror films right now. We've questioned going to horror films after some of the ones we've recently watched. We're still going to see some of them easily in theaters when they come out. Mm-hmm. And we've got one slated for next week, obviously, that we're like, that's probably questionable as to why we're watching it. But, like...
I mean, yeah.
It's one of those ones that we're like... Do we have hopes for it? No.
Might it be
funny? Will it be potentially entertainingly funny in some ways? Maybe. Yeah. It looks like it could be.
Like, I definitely...
As long as all the trailers don't show all the funny moments.
Yeah, I was about to say, I definitely think Hide and Seek, which next week, anybody who doesn't know, I'm pulling up the poster now, we're doing Hide and Seek and...
Would You Rather.
Would You Rather. And... Hide and Seek seems like it could potentially be a slapstick horror, where a gore stick, as I like to call it, where it's horror but it's funny. It's almost like Army of Darkness, but
or Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, like,
which is one of my favorite movies.
So, like, if that's what this movie does, Hide and Seek, if that's what it does, because it does seem to have funny moments in the trailer. I saw the trailer, unfortunately. So.
As long as they don't show all the funny moments in those trailers, I think we're fine.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not too
worried about that. I think it'll be a pleasant upswing for us.
However, the Would You Rather might be a weird middle road.
Yeah, I've watched it like twice. Weirdly, the first time while drinking Keystone.
It's memorable for you, is it?
It was a weird time just after high school. I didn't have hard liquor available, and my friend's like, "Yeah, we got some warm Keystone." I had just eaten like a really big chimichanga too. My stomach was not happy with me. He's like, "The fuck are you doing? You just ate this, and now you're drinking this garbage, this water." That was bad.
Damn. So, do we have? I mean, I don't really have much news. In all honesty, this week, I only found one article that kind of caught my attention, but I forgot to pull it up on stream. I have it on my phone that I could talk about, but do you have any news that has caught your attention?
Not really. I saw a funny thing on Twitter about the what is it? Um, Disney Plus. They had a whole thread of like all the new Disney styles, like Marvel, Disney, Star Wars, National Geographic, Simpsons, all like had a conversation.
Yeah, that one. I'll be honest. That's really funny, but like I kind of forget what Disney owns now, especially after the Fox merger. Like I completely forgot that they owned Simpsons now.
And National, I knew they owned Simpsons. I forgot about National Geographic. They own that?
Apparently, but hey, at
That's
least
so weird. That's like, that's one of those things that I'm like, huh? Huh?
yeah, like it makes me wonder how did I never notice that Fox owned National Geographic?
Right? Like, there's so many things that you're like, wow, I didn't realize they owned so much. Like, holy crap.
Oh.
Yeah, it's their pinned tweet thread up there. Yeah, and then it goes to Simpsons, and then it ends.
Okay,
Because
Tracy.
they're like, worst corporate Twitter stunt ever.
Okay, Tracy did bring up something as well about Peter Fonda. So that one, once again, just a beloved actor. In some cases, passing away. I personally had no idea he had passed away, so I didn't know that because he wasn't one of my beloved actors. So.
Oh, Mephisto?
Mephisto.
He was Mephisto in the first Ghost Rider.
Yeah, like Ghost Rider. I'm looking at a lot of his movies here. There are a lot of motorcycle movies, and like westerns.
Ted Yuma, Escape from L.A.,
So,
Boondock Saints 2.
Dracula. Interesting. All right. Well, unfortunate that he's passed away. I'm sorry to the friends and family who are affected by this. Things will get better. Yeah, I don't know.
And Seth, yeah, well, Seth has never liked that he was under Fox, so Seth MacFarlane, who made Family Guy.
I thought, yeah, I mean, he could die happy now that Fox and Disney are one thing, but like, now that I don't think he really cares too much, since doesn't he mainly do Comedy Central now?
He does Orville.
Ah, that's true. Orville.
That was on Fox as well.
That's true. Orville's a good show, so.
I've heard good things about it. I haven't got the chance to watch it yet.
If you like Star Trek,
I'm a Trekkie fan.
yeah,
So.
I was about to say, if you like Star Trek, you'll like this. But it's kind of like the Galaxy Quest more than it's like Star Trek.
That's what I've seen.
But even so, like they have really funny moments, but they also have really somber and like it is a good mixture of Galaxy Quest and Star Trek. So, all right. One last news. One thing that I have is there was an interview with the director of the recent King Kong movies, Michael Dougherty. Dougherty. It depends on how you pronounce it. I believe it's Dougherty, but I like to call it Daughtry. And he mentioned that if he had the chance, he was asked on an interview if he had a chance to remake any other movies about kaiju, like giant monsters, what movies would he choose? Like, what monsters would he choose? And his something was the movie The Gargantuas. The Gargantuas is basically gigantic, basically like Bigfoot and like Yeti and like all of those like giant abominable monsters, but the size of Godzilla. And it was a movie released out in 1966 originally, and it was just these hairy primate things fighting over dominance of the world. on who was going to be the one in charge. But they're also supposed to be like really relatable because they are basically apes, which relate to humans. So it's supposed to be like this complex conversation of, even though they're monsters destroying the world, we can tell that they have emotions and thoughts and like goals and like.
Put them in the Godzilla universe.
Maybe.
Hey, I mean, I've already said that. I'm down with the Godzilla universe already. Like, I'm having fun with it. It's stupid fucking films of just, like, over-the-top monster fights. But so far, they've been fun because of the monster fights. I can deal with that.
Just needs more monster fights, damn it.
Hey, add the giant Sasquatch monsters then.
Yeah.
I'm fucking down.
I mean, we're going to get Godzilla versus King Kong.
I can't wait! Is that this year? No, that's next year.
I think it's
that's
2020 or 2021. One of those two.
Can't wait!
So,
yeah.
do you have any other news or anything you want to talk about?
Well, let's check with the endgame. Sorry, I made that joke once last week, so I'm going to make it one last time, and I think that's 3 times, so I'm done with it.
Okay. That's totally fine. Okay, so, I think we're done here. I think, all in all, yeah. This, just so anyone who's knowing, this may or may not be our regular time. It's either going to be 5 or 6 now.
Yeah, we're going to try to start it around this time, just because, one, if we start at 6, it's consistent with the rest of the podcast. If we start an hour earlier, it's a little bit easier to hit the East Coast.
Yeah.
And this is the one podcast that can kind of potentially do that depending on work schedule.
Yes. So, we'll
even though I'm off at 4:30, I'll be like, and you'll see me in a lot of red on this podcast going forward.
That's fine.
Or in these.
Red or black undershirts? Yeah.
Yeah, not black. I have gray ones too, so.
Okay. So
I
yeah.
have grays and red ones, so. But. Yeah, so. That'll be the thing going forward.
Cool. So, I guess with that in mind,
we'll try to let you know on Twitter as well.
Well, we'll definitely let you know ahead of time. Like today, we definitely had the chance of starting at 5, but because I wanted to take a nap after work, we started at 6.
Which is fine. I mean, sleep is important, and being super groggy throughout a podcast is not healthy and fun. So.
Yeah. Which, God, if you saw me at work today, I was a fucking mess. Like, I couldn't answer the phones, and I couldn't call people right. Like, I kept... My job today, because we didn't have many appointments, was just doing phone calls. So I was like switching between, hey, would you like to schedule an appointment? And hey, thank you for calling. And I kept mixing them up with who I was calling and stuff. Like I would call somebody and say, thank you for calling JC. Oh, sorry. This is Steven with JC. Like, I kept just mixing up my words because I just couldn't think today. It was bad.
That's fair. Well... follow us on all the things, Twitter, YouTube, here on Twitch.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, all the things, bells, that stuff. Watch our shows throughout the week, which all of our shows are now at 6 p.m. and it goes, from Monday to Thursday now. So.
Which I think that is both really, really good for us and going to be oddly difficult for me.
I mean, this is the one that's important for you.
Yes.
Not that I'm saying you shouldn't go for the other ones, but I'm more saying like this is
what
the
I
one
meant
you're the host
is like editing and stuff. I know that Jay can help me soon, and
I'm able to help on them as well.
Yeah. So once we get that stuff and you guys helping me, things will be a lot easier. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
thank you all for watching and hanging out with us as always.
Exactly. Watch T-Pop tomorrow if you're here at 6 p.m. with not Cave or Jay tomorrow.
I'll be hosting tomorrow.
Yep. Maybe with me and Soy as well. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see who's there. It could also just be me, and I have a lot of video game stuff to talk about anyways, so.
Wednesday's Hardcore Game Night, where we'll probably have...
I have a guest on this week for it. Yeah, we have Eclectic coming in.
Nice. So it's going to be you, maybe Soy, Eclectic, and whoever else wants to join in that week.
Yep. And then our podcast, which I have 2 guests on as well this week.
Oh, sweet.
Queen Babyface and Kyrie Source are already going to be on there, so you can look forward to that.
All right. So we have a well-planned out week this week. I like it.
Hey, first real week me back. Last week I was back, but I wasn't fully back, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like, there were still
getting back into the swing of things.
Yeah, and I was still fixing, make sure, because I just got both graphics cards set up over the weekend. So
Next step is getting
this
yourself.
screen is on a different graphics card now. So.
Ooh.
Next step is to build a second PC with like a ray tracing graphics card. Because like, did you see that Minecraft is gonna have ray tracing soon?
There were already ray tracing mods, but
through NVIDIA.
oh,
And it's gonna be like a download on like a free
ooh, that'd be
DLC
cool.
on Minecraft. Like it's through NVIDIA's RTX graphics cards.
I have one of those.
So like
That's
it's
cool.
top of the line. Like it's the shit. Kind like the coup de grace when it comes to ray tracing. Because RTX is like their top line. Like this is the graphics card for you kind of thing. So, my plan is to essentially this gets converted into streaming PC.
And then you have a gaming PC.
Yeah, turned into the gaming PC. So
I like it. 2 PC systems, man. They're the future.
that's down the line for me. So
All right. So, anything else? We done here?
I think we're done here.
All right, we're done here. Thank you for joining
Thanks
us.
for hanging out.
Yeah. So, catch you guys next Monday at either 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. We'll let you know on Twitter with our next episode of Critically Casual, where we'll be watching Hide and Seek and Ready or Not. But until then, bye.